Hi, John Chapin with your sales tip of the day. And actually, I'm going to start the tip with a question. Do you know your numbers? Do you know your sales numbers? So hopefully you know your annual goal, your annual sales goal, or you have a quota, or you have something like that, right? But do you know the numbers behind that quota? Do you know what you need to do to get there? So do you know what you need to do, how many sales you need to make, how many proposals you need to get out to get that number of sales, how many people you need to talk to get to that number of proposals, how many calls, contacts, follow-ups you need to get to that number of people? And look, 99.9% of the time when someone fails in sales, it's a failure of activity. They didn't talk to enough people to get enough prospects, to get enough leads, to get enough sales. The other 0.1% of the time someone fails in sales, they get hit by a bus. So look, if you're out there every day and you're killing it and you're making the calls and you're making the follow-up calls and you're making the sales and you're hitting your quota or exceeding your quota, you may not need to do this. But if you are failing in sales, I guarantee you, if you look at the numbers, you will see the failure in the numbers. So let's figure it out. Let's say, for example, you want to do 150,000 in sales. First, you're going to look at your average sale. So how large is your average sale? Because we've got to figure out how many sales you need to make to get to that 150. So let's say it's $5,000 you get paid per average sale. So at 150,000, that means 30 sales. Now, what is your closing percentage? So how many proposals do you need to get out to get that number of sales? Let's say you're at the average salesperson, which is 33% closing ratio, which, by the way, if you're doing everything right, if you're getting prospects correctly, if you're qualifying prospects correctly, you're doing every part of the sales process correctly, your closing ratio should be 80 to 90% of the people that you're actually presenting to. But let's say you're at the average, which is 33%. So 30 sales, 33% closing ratio. That means you need 90, 91 proposals out there. And then how many calls, how many contacts, how many follow-up calls, how many emails, how many mailers, how many other things do you need to do every day to get to that number of people, and then break it down. So look, most people don't know this number. Most people don't know these numbers. And especially if you're failing, I guarantee you haven't looked at these numbers. And when you do, and you figure out what they are, you haven't been doing the numbers you need to do daily. So take a look at those and look. If you don't know your numbers, if you don't, or you don't know certain aspects of those, like if you don't know your closing percentage, if you don't know, again, your average sale, if you don't know things like that, guess. Talk to a manager. If you have a manager, you have other salespeople around, ask them. If you don't know though, guess, start somewhere. Okay, so for example, if you think it's going to take about 8 calls, in-person calls per day, you always want to err, by the way, on the side of being conservative, and you always want to hit higher numbers. So for example, if you think it's 8, make 9 or 10 calls, and then just look at the numbers. At the end of the day, a month, 2 months, 3 months out, are you hitting your numbers? Are you at where you need to be? If not, adjust. If you're not able to hit those numbers, you don't have time, something else, look at your schedule, adjust, do some other things. So again, bottom line, if you're failing in sales, it's probably coming down to the numbers. Take a look at your numbers, figure out what you need to do daily, figure out what you need to do to make those happen every day and to hit those numbers every day. And if you're doing that, if you figure out your numbers and you start hitting them daily, you're going to start having sales success. So if you like this video, please hit subscribe below and look for more videos from me. Thanks.